So grateful to be here and very happy to discuss these incredibly important and hard to talk about topics. He has an incredible backbone and staggering moral fiber. Howie is totally committed, completely ethical, totally admirable. No pressure if you can hear this, but honestly, Howie's a hero to me.
John, you joined us before, and it was a pretty incredible kind of testimony you gave, and you just devoted your life to advocacy for child trafficking, and even 9/11 truth. Maybe you could explain to us, in the last decade, what do you think the most challenging parts of coming alive on some of these issues have been?
Probably the hardest thing, and it continues, is just realizing that pretty much everything that I was told and taught since I was in grade school is probably not true.
All right, I think we're on.
All right, let me try the player here. Testing.
Yeah,
2, 3, 4. Testing. I don't hear anything on the player, Howie. You there, Howie?
Yeah, I'm here. I was trying to listen.
Yeah, I'm getting 0 over the player. Are you getting anything?
Wait.
All right, I think we're on.
Now we're good. We're good.
All right, let me try the player here.
Okay. Let's try this again. Good evening, and welcome to the Traffic Report. We apologize.
Good evening, John.
Good evening, Catherine.
Good evening, Howard.
Good evening, Howie.
Yeah, we are actually on the air for the first time in
wow,
about a week.
A long time.
Yeah,
seems like forever. So obviously, I guess we'll just start the apologies right off the bat. We might as well. Last week, we didn't find we did an hour show, and it sounded really good to us, but it never made it to obviously the server, and UCY uploaded a dead show. So we apologize for that. I think that show's been deleted. I hope it has. And we're continuing to have technological problems as evidenced this evening. And so we apologize, and we'll do the best to rectify that. And that may be going to another platform. We're not sure. It might be Facebook Live. It could be YouTube. It might be Periscope. But the good news with that is it would be earlier.
well, not Periscope, but anyway, we'll get to that. But we still, I guess we should do the apology about the guest that we were supposed to have this week. I guess because we never, our apology never made it, on air.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I forgot about
that.
Yeah,
right. So we can, and explain the situation. John, you can take that, and we can just.
And I did tweet it out, and we got it out on our Facebook page, and we had, I had a nice conversation with the private investigator yesterday, as a matter of fact. And as soon as it's safe for them to come on, they'll be on the show. There's no problems with the show. The fact of the matter is, an unrelated individual did something very, very irresponsible. And I'm not even going to mention his name, but I think anybody that listens, has a good idea of who that is. And this show has always been about protecting the people that come on it. These particular people are involved in very heavy activities, or have been. And these are dangerous people that don't like what they have to say and don't want them saying it, and that they're risking their lives to even come on the show. Period. And for some irresponsible asshole, I don't know what this guy's problem is, but to just expose one of these people to danger is just the most crazy thing. And we're not about that. We won't tolerate that. We protect the identities if that's what the people that come on the show want us to do. We protect the integrity of their stories and what they want said and what they don't want said, and we try to provide a safe forum for survivors of sexual abuse, and for advocates, and for people that are fighting this, and most of the people that are going up against this are against some very dangerous people. So that being said, and we're really not, it's we're apologizing, but there's really nothing to apologize for.
Right. And I would like to say that we were, fully prepared to have these guests on, and, circumstances changed. Really out of the blue, and almost a couple hours before the show, we didn't say that we're going to have a couple of guests on to talk about an actual pedophile ring, to hype anything up, and then because I've seen it, I've seen things before where, tune in and we'll give you this, the skinny on this or that. It was absolutely nothing like that, but based on circumstances that changed, it was not in anyone's best interest to do the show. And, it's not about the show, and it's not about, things need to be revealed like right now. Everybody is in this for the long haul. and nothing, no one or nothing is going to, expose the entire world of pedophilia and child trafficking and child rape, So, for anybody that was listening and felt disappointed or, I'll apologize, but it's not, I don't feel bad in any way, shape, or form because we did the right thing by not having these people come on because it's just not the right time. And we had very little to do with it. So, that's pretty much all I'm going to say.
And just thank you to both of them. And they're exceptional people. Yeah. They're not going anywhere, but
right. Absolutely.
They have to make sure of their safety, and just like we do. I mean, we don't think about that too much, but anybody that comes forward and talks about this on a regular basis, puts themselves at risk. That's just how it is.
Well, even if they didn't come to your door personally, you can find where they will do things online that are hurtful to you, and you don't even know. Like someone from NAMBLA took part of my conversation that I had with someone from Twitter and put it up on NAMBLA. And my friend who didn't know what NAMBLA was clicked on the NAMBLA link and saw that our conversation was on NAMBLA. And I'm like, don't click on NAMBLA. But anyway, they can do things like that. And sometimes I've seen people post pictures of their children on Twitter. And you just cannot do that because they will take a picture of your child. They will do all kinds of horrible things to it, and they will pass it on. And you'll never know. But your child has been victimized.
And while we're talking about that, people don't realize that, but get every picture of your kid off of Facebook. It is a catalog for pedophile networks. They go through Facebook, they find a kid that they like, they get your information and your location, and they kidnap that kid. Okay? That type of thing was what these guests were going to talk about. These are organized networks. They're being run by criminal gangs. Okay? And that is going on every day. So get your kids off of Facebook. Okay, that was my rant. Sorry, Catherine.
Well, people just don't realize the mindset of a pedophile or a child molester. And because seeing the different groups that are fetishes. So say there's a group that has a diaper fetish. They will go on Facebook and they'll take all the pictures of babies off of Facebook and they'll have their own collection and they'll share with countless people. And people would not in a million want that to happen, but they just don't think.
Oh yeah, there's people that take pictures of their toddlers, naked in the bathtub. Now they would not, in their minds, oh, it's a cute baby, taking a bath. Now, but they're never even thinking that their child could be posted on, hundreds, thousands of websites where pedophiles are trading this. And because it's incomprehensible to them because they're just not aware of what is going on. They're not aware of that mindset. And,
right.
That's a hard thing to say, to go up, and it's also a hard conversation to have, it's like, oh, by the way, you posted a picture of Johnny and, somebody could be pulling that off of your, it's public and could be pulling it off your Facebook and being traded around to pedophiles. And how do you have the conversation with a parent, grandparent, like a grandparent is, a 70-something-year-old. It's difficult, but part of the reason that we are in the situation that we're in is because people don't want to talk about what is going on. They don't want to talk about how sick, perverted, whatever word you want to use, that is happening in society. And, if they just went to PedoGateNews to read article after article after article, and it's probably 10% of the articles out there, 5%, 2%. I mean, you could spend your entire day searching articles of arrests and convictions of pedophiles, child rapists, sexual abusers, and you can spend your entire day. And
we're gonna bore down into this,
absolutely,
tonight. And I'll be. We all have our own cases that we've taken tonight, but I'll be talking about a judge who just got sentenced and a Navy SEAL. So if you think this isn't in every strata of your society, you're deluding yourself. And the subliminal things that are going on to groom your children that have been brought out, like with Honeybee and the stuff that's going on YouTube. I'm going to tweet out a picture to you that I just ran across this on the App Store, and it's a child's game. And I want you to look at the two images. They're two cartoon images on there, and just see if that brings up anything with the symbolism that we've been. And I won't give it away. I'm just going to tweet it out. But I know that it's half of it is MK Ultra mind control symbolism, and the other half is something even more nefarious. So just look at the images and see what they evoke for you. And this is a kid's game that's being put out on the App Store. So
you're tweeting that out now?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Did you tag me?
Absolutely.
Or did you just tweet it out?
I'm gonna tag both of you.
Okay. Well, okay, before we get started on searching the hashtag, I wanted to say this about hashtags. There is a way to write a hashtag that Twitter recognizes, and that being with each first letter of your word has to be capitalized. And so I heard that, John. And so that's how Twitter counts your algorithms. You can write a hashtag with all caps, and it's not going to count towards your trend if you're trying to trend something. So I just wanted to throw that out there. And so we're going to do the show tonight on searching the hashtag PedoGate.
Well, Catherine, can you say that? Can you say that slowly again? Because you just, if you do it all in capitals,
right? If you're trying to trend something, it will not work for your trend.
Yeah, and YouTube's doing the same thing, because this was pointed out by that private investigator that was going to be on the show. But their podcasts, their YouTube does not. If you go on YouTube on your account, you're not going to see the views that you're getting, because they're broken down into all sorts of different areas. And I don't even know how you're able to do that. But every social media platform is being manipulated.
Well, I have a question, because Catherine, you've been on Twitter a lot longer than I have. But for example, and in your autocomplete, at least my autocomplete changes all the time. I mean, I tweet to PedoGateNews. Sometimes autocomplete will show it, sometimes it won't. Sometimes I'll for like a Tuesday thought or Tuesday thoughts. Sometimes it's capitalized, sometimes it's not. I never understood, why it does that. But you taught me a long time ago, keep your hashtags, always the same. And I tweet out pedo, capital P, capital G, capital N.
Right.
I do that.
That's correct.
I do that too.
Okay.
Paul Watson actually did an example of it on Twitter. To show people how to write a proper hashtag, because it does make a difference, especially if you're trying to trend something.
Right, but somewhere I would say a couple months ago, out of the blue, for example, Pizzagate is real. Shows up if I still tweet to Pizzagate, Pizzagate will come up, capital P, capital G. But Pizzagate is real. It'll autocomplete completely capitalized. I don't know if that worked. I don't know if that happens for you, but like literally,
I think that Twitter messes with it on purpose, so they
absolutely. Their autocomplete also, when there's something very popular, they'll misspell things, so it goes to a completely irrelevant hashtag. I mean, that's happened. I mean, all kinds of
And while we're talking about PedoGateNews, you got to shout out to B, because I mean she is relentless and just the best information that's getting onto that hashtag. So I just tweeted out some love to B for all the hard work she does getting that hashtag.
Well, if V is number one, Podobensky at it's the real deal at PODOBENSKY. She's 1A. If V is 1, Podobensky is 1A.
I better tweet that out too.
Absolutely. And from the very beginning, they were the first two, and they were keeping it alive more than I was. Podobensky, I believe her brother was sexually. Her brother was sexually abused, and she is a wonderful advocate. I don't know her off of Twitter. I just know her from her tweets and stuff. But yeah, she's been there from day one.
The real shout out goes to you, Howard, because you're the one who thought of the hashtag. And
I wasn't going to say that.
I wanted to say that because I think that it is very powerful. It's one of those things that you use social media for, and you've used it for that, and it's paid off in spades.
The last time I gave Howie credit for a good idea, we lost a co-host.
You lost what?
We lost.
Don't. That's
just a joke. Just a little joke.
Long story. But no, listen, I'm not a researcher. I'm not one of the. I'm not an anon. I'm not one of the. I never consider myself a smart guy. I've come across things along the way. I consider myself to have decent amount of common sense, but I'm always, because I can't contribute in certain ways of like a honeybee. It's not what I do, but I think like a layman. What is effective for laymen, and we need more laymen in the fight, because some of the research gets very, very complicated. Okay. And, that type of stuff is down the road. But right now, to get, the average guy the average man and woman on the street who is as against this as anybody, but just not thinking about it, what's effective? And I'm thinking to myself, well, we have all these arrests and convictions. It's like, well, let's put it all in one place, because aside from the research and the UN and John Podesta, whatever the case may be, and I mean the organizations. I mean, let's face it. The stuff gets very complicated. Sometimes too complicated for me. But if we make people aware how pervasive the problem is, and keep it simple, stupid. And I always felt, and I just sort of popped in my head that, like, okay, arrests and convictions, that lays it out. And if people could just go down the line and read story after story after story after story where they didn't have to go do the research themselves. It was just sitting right there for them. Be like, wow, seems like we have a bit of a problem here, you know?
Well, let's also say at the same time, Howard, that people that hijack the PedoGateNews hashtag are just morons because, it's not right. I just did a search on Twitter for the hashtag, and of course I find people who have hijacked the hashtag right off the gate.
Really?
So, yes, forget them, on to the next PedoGateNews.
Well, there's also a situation that people have tagged it in, the research, whether it's, follow the storm, QAnon, tweeting about things that aren't. I've always just wanted to keep it stories of, once again, just stories of arrests and convictions, no other hashtags included. Just so if people visit the hashtag, it reads like a, like almost like a blotter of one right after the other. So, if anybody's listening, you can tweet to anything you want, but please, if you're using PedoGateNews, the news part really, is the thing. And the news is really arrests and convictions of action.
And there are so many, it's just almost impossible to.
No, it is.
We really need to get some really good computer people that can, amass this in some,
John, it's not
research.
It's not possible. And I use techniques, depending on what day it is. I'll, for example, when Catherine and I were on, it was Fat Tuesday. So because it was Fat Tuesday, I said, okay, let's take a look at Louisiana. Let's take a look at New Orleans. And when I went to look at New Orleans, and it's not going to come up, under a normal search. And I search things such as, different ways, pedophile arrests, pedophile convictions, child rape arrests, child sexual abuse arrests, because you have to use all the different terms. But, if I want to go after teachers. Right. But, because it was Fat Tuesday, I said, okay, let's take a look at New Orleans and see what's going on in New Orleans. If, depending on, if there's something else that's coming up, I'll go there, because the stories are, it's literally in the thousands.
Yeah.
And that, if people want to say, oh, it's not that big of a problem, or you're making too much of this, or it's not a big deal. I'm talking like the stories of the churches and U.S. Larry Nassar and everything like that. But you just search in your own backyard. If whatever you feel like, and just concentrate on that. I'm telling you, you're gonna pull.
And you're right. You would need a team of people like the National Center for Missing Children has.
Right. Yeah.
To keep up with it and disseminate it. And there's nobody that really does that except this hashtag. So at least that's a good start.
Well, Child Protective Services should be the organization that takes those things into consideration and everything, but they don't want those records taken. So
no, because they're part of the network.
Right.
So why?
In some cases, they certainly are.
Yeah. Why would they want to? Get it out there that they're not doing their job, or there's no reason for them to even exist. Almost, that's the way I look at it. But that's just me. There is a reason for them to exist, but not in the form that they're in. Giving children to confirmed, and I always go back to Neely's case. Two beautiful little girls, that DCF in Florida basically handed back to their pedophile abuser And, I mean, really? That's Department of Children and Families. So big problems there. But, the people are being arrested. This is just going
people
on
are definitely being arrested. There's no doubt that people are being arrested. The unfortunate part, and what's been eye-opening to me, is that we're getting into we're not talking about teenagers. We're talking about we've mentioned this before. We're talking about toddlers, newborns, 1-year-olds and less. This is something that people are not definitely not thinking about, and these are not where it might be a random story. I just found another one.
It's actually a trend that law enforcement recognizes, that the victims are younger.
Well, I mean, it's great. It's great that law enforcement recognizes it, but my goal is to get the American people to understand, to think about these things. I mean, nobody wants to think about the story of a 9-month-old being raped and recorded by a 21-year-old cameraman, but that's what actually happened.
How about a 5-year-old? That's one of the cases we're going to talk to. The Navy SEAL, right? 5-year-old.
5-year-old. Yeah, I mean, but it's not basically what I'm saying is, and if you go down the list, it's not uncommon. It's not uncommon at all. Like, this shit is happening every frigging day, and it's like, I don't even know what to say. Like, so.
Well, we have to look at the bright side, because we can't stay on the side that sees it all and hears it all. So we're going to stay on the positive side, and we're glad that we have a good hashtag. We're going to search the hashtag and talk about the cases.
But we have to drive traffic to the hashtag. We have to get people who are not thinking about this to the hashtag, and that's really what the strategy is. It's not for us to know more horrific stories. I don't need to know another. Right. I don't need to know another story.
Right.
I need people. And believe me, it's not something. Hey, if you could just check out this hashtag, and see what I'm all about, because.
Yeah, and it's what people do, with that information. And I had a nice talk with Trish Negron today about that, and we're, coming up with, some kind of strategies to do this. And one of the things we talked about, we've got all this information about USA Swimming, USA Gymnastics. We've got some great journalists covering this. It's all factual information, and I'm going to let you know how it goes. I'm going down to my YMCA. And talk to their administration and see if they're willing to, talk about that, and talk to some of the people that I see at the Y every day that take their kids into the daycare there. And, these are mothers, these are, families with several children. And the YMCA has been part of this basically pedophile ring, and you have to make those contacts, it's just one person, even if it's one person getting this information out there. And that's, we've got the Olympics going on. We've got the Nasser thing. I mean, what I can't think of a better way to get people, at least thinking about that this is going on, and once they look at that and start going over some of that information, they realize that this is coast to coast, it's cultural, it's institutional, and because you're people that turn away from a lot of the stuff that's more objectionable, like younger kids or whatever. I mean, they know about the Olympics, they know they've got kids, in organized sports and athletics, and we have to. There is no substitute for that personal contact, and you think, well, what good can I do just talking to one person? Well, how does it go, Howie? You double a penny, every day, and in a year you got how much? It's a lot of money, And
that could be your analogy. My analogy would be the old Fabergé commercial with Farrah Fawcett, and I told two friends, and they told two friends, and so on and so on and so on. But I mean, there's just not enough. When you get involved in this stuff, and you have a lot of people around you tweeting this stuff out, you feel good. But when you get out, I don't know how many people talk about this, to their, whether it's coworkers, family, close friends, associates, whatever. Let me tell you something. Nobody's thinking about this.
Yeah, and the social media, we can tweet about it all day long. If you're not getting out beyond that little, echo chamber, you're not doing any good. It's the people that follow the show, the people that are in those huge threads, that are posting all this information. I would hope that they're going out locally in their community, and it's just like we were talking about. It's any grassroots effort. I mean, look at the civil rights movement. Okay, look at the amount of time it took. Before they had 1 million people in Washington, that didn't happen overnight, and that happened, one person at a time. And so hopefully that's what people are doing. That's what we're encouraging them to do.
And I would still like to say that, as popular as the hashtag has become, more popular than they thought, it's only scratched the surface that everybody involved in the PedoGate community can spend.
It's one of the traffic report dogs.
Yeah, there we go.
Seriously.
But anybody, just as if you take your acid reflux, pill, or you have your morning cup of coffee, your job for the day is like, let me go find a couple articles. And it doesn't take very long to find something, whether it's in your own backyard, whatever search you want to do, we'll find something and just post it. And that's, we post tons of things. We post tons of likes, but there's no reason why everybody, this hashtag should have it should be trending every day. Yeah, whether it would trend, that's a different story. But there should be many, many, many more articles posted. Because there are too many. They're not in the USA Today that much. They're not in the New York Times. They're not in the Washington Post. They're not in the, the larger publications on the front page. And you have to go out and find them and then put them somewhere. And all right, so we can get to a couple that they're recently in the news. So why don't we just
who wants to go first?
John, why don't you go first? Get the judge.
All right. Yeah, we've got this. I'll tell you what. I'm going to take the Navy SEAL first because I got that right in front of me. But yeah, this Navy SEAL. This is in the Alexandria News, and apparently he's been. And this is only part of this case, but people were asking this question online too. It's like, wow, he only got 27 years, but he was sentenced to 20, and he was tried federally, which is a good thing. Sentenced to 27 years in prison, 25 years of supervised release after that. So basically,
27 years of supervised release?
Well, yeah, 27 years in prison and then 25 years of supervised release after that.
25 years.
And this is just for the images, okay? There are other charges and other legal actions going on against this guy, but the feds got him in there. They got him convicted of this, so he's not going anywhere. But this, just a horrendous story, and we're talking about and trying to make this point that the people that possess these images are offenders. Okay, don't think because some guy in your hometown gets caught with 100 of these images, that he's not an offender, because this guy was participating in the abuse of a 5-year-old child. Okay, and that's just one of the cases that he's going down for. But we're talking about this, the age going down. But can you imagine? This is a Navy SEAL, not an easy occupation to be involved in.
Right.
And so supposedly the finest that this nation can produce, but I really don't think we're even a society at this point. With what has been allowed to go on in the state of people's minds. But so he'll be. I imagine these charges and this sentence will be the least of his problems, because the abuse of that 5-year-old girl, him participating and filming it, should get him a life sentence. And so that's one of my cases. And that was the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia. And the Naval Criminal Investigative Services were involved in this case. So that's all good. I mean, we're getting federal involvement, quick prosecutions, and that's all good news. It's horrible. It's a horrible story, but again, that's probably the tip of the iceberg. So that was my first case. So, who's next?
You can go, Captain.
Well, this is just something very short. It's just talking about California letting 10,000 predators go, sexual predators go, and the reason that they're letting them go is because they're nonviolent, quote unquote nonviolent. Maybe I don't know what nonviolent is. Maybe just someone that with pictures or anything. But good old California, 10,000 sexual predators.
What the hell? And what does it take in that state for them to get rid of that governor? I mean, this guy is got to be the most useless piece of shit that's ever held that office. To allow this and everything else that's going on in that state. I mean, and the good thing, the one good thing about California, and it's probably been circumvented by what you're talking about, Catherine, is they have it's called Tuscadero. I think it's a state mental institution where they
Tuscadero.
Yeah, where they send these serial pedophiles, and they basically don't get out. They're it's an open-ended sentence, and they're just they're once they get them there, they don't ever go home. But there's a documentary about that. I can't remember the name now. I came across it a few weeks ago, and I watched it. But what's the name of the facility again?
Atascadero.
Atascadero.
Okay. Yeah. Well, if anybody searches it, you can find. I think it's on Vimeo.
And I remember that it's actually that documentary. They have this guy in there, and he's trying to bullshit the doctors. Oh well, I'm in therapy now, and I'm taking these medications, and they go into his room, and there's like these pictures of these young boys up on the wall, and the producer of the videos or the documentary's like, is he supposed to have that kind of shit?
Oh my God!
These guys are not rehabable. They're just not. So
well, to that point, can I just say that they have the medical castration that they talk about, and people are real big on. You can medically castrate someone so where they cannot get an erection. That does not mean that the kink in their brain that tells them that they need to have sex with the child, they just use something else. They use a different object.
Yep.
The medical castration thing is not a good option, in my opinion. It can be helpful to somebody who's trying, but otherwise.
In this documentary, they have a methodology of showing stimuli to the to the pedophiles,
Right.
and they attach something. You have to watch it, but basically, they show images, not child rape images, but for example, like a child in a bikini, and they measure basically how aroused one of the are they called inmates, or are they called, what are they called there, John?
It's like
freaks.
Well, I mean, all right, I'm trying to. Whatever the case may be, right? And that's how they monitor their progress, as opposed to no longer being a pedophile, and before they
no longer being a danger to society.
Yeah, but if you watch a documentary, I'm not sure if I'm trying to dance around exactly what they do. They explain it very well in the documentary. But I have a story. I have a story. Neither one of you know the story. It's just another one of these that I came across, and a story that was burning in my brain, and it's another one of these things, and I actually forgot about it, and I was just on PedoGateNews, and Podobensky had tweeted it out. I was like, son of a gun. I totally forgot about this. And there's a small town in Pennsylvania called Spartansburg, PA, town of about 300. And there was a convicted pedophile who was the chief of the volunteer fire department. And he was convicted. He's 43 years old. He was convicted 20 years ago of having a 4-year-old perform oral sex on him. And I believe he was in prison for 10 years, got out. He was rehabilitated, supposedly, and joined the volunteer fire department. Worked his way, everyone was okay with him. And he was actually the chief of the fire department. Wow. Got reelected earlier in the month, until the local newspaper caught wind that he is a convicted child rapist. So he wasn't going to resign. He eventually did resign after it made national news. And
let me just, I got to say, because that when I hear, firefighter, that just sets me the fuck off. But
sure,
in a paid fire department, that would never happen. Okay, so there's that. And most volunteer fire departments are governed by the state. There are state regulations in place, and that wouldn't happen in most volunteer departments. So I'd like to follow up and just see exactly how a convicted sex offender that raped a 4-year-old, even had the possibility of doing that, because that's not the norm in the volunteer fire service or the paid, definitely not in the paid fire service.
Right, and this is right, and we're talking about a small town. I don't know a ton about this town, but another aspect of this is the mayor of Spartansburg. Before I can get this, I can get it. Let me get his name.
The name of that documentary, by the way, is The Castration Cure.
Oh, great! I'll look it up.
And the hell with chemical. They need to just do it.
So Roger,
that would cure him.
So Roger Gilbert, 43, he was the fire chief, but the mayor of Spartansburg, her name is Anne Louise Wagner, and the local paper is the Corey Journal. Mayor Anne Louise Wagner told the Corey Journal that she and other members of the community are aware that Gilbert is a sex offender. Her quote is, "I support the fire department and their decision to have him as chief. The firemen have always elected their own officers, and that's how it's always been done. We don't question their decisions," she told the newspaper. "We have never stepped on their toes before, and I'm not going to do it now. He has been with our department since 2010 and just elected to a second term as chief." She added, "I think we are making this into something that it isn't. I don't know why she being the victim's mother, won't drop this."
My God.
That is literally the mayor of Spartanburg, PA. And I tweeted out, and you know, it was one of these things. I meant to call Spartanburg, and I tweeted out the phone number to their little local thing. And the mayor of Spartanburg can't understand why the mother of who 20 years, obviously, her daughter's now in her 20s, but as a 4-year-old was raped by this man, and the mayor can't understand why the mother is concerned that he is now the volunteer fire chief of the town.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's what we're up against. That's what we're up
against.
You
can't, for lack of a better phrase, you can't make this shit up.
Yeah. Well, I might have to give the old mayor a call myself. That's just.
Yeah, let's do. Can I share
I'll
this one? Let me share this one. This one's a good one. This is from Argentina. And a man posed as his 11-year-old daughter so he could beat up a pedophile.
I saw that one. I saw.
There was a man that was messaging an 11-year-old on the WhatsApp, and so she told her father about it. So anyway, it goes on to say, Mr. Rodriguez told local TV channel TB, first he wanted to have the date at his house, and I told him, yes, of course, because I was going to kill him. He would open the door, and I would kill him. Afterwards, Mr. Rodriguez agreed to meet him in the street, where he beat Mr. Acosta to a bloody pulp and told local media that he was upset the pervert was not detained for his crimes, even though he could show proof of the messages on his daughter's phone. So he got a beating, and that's all that happened to him, but that was on the PedoGateNews hashtag.
Well, it's aside from, I'm not condoning, and I'm not condoning violence, but we're in a culture now where, I don't know how old are the children that have phones? 8, 9,
sure,
10. It's not uncommon, and I'm not really. I've heard of WhatsApp. I don't know what it is. But there's between Snapchat and I guess it's Kik. There's all kinds of messaging apps. We've seen it on the video games. The children know what this stuff is, but the parents don't. They don't go in. They don't check. And the predators are just out there all over these things. Now think about how can law enforcement, unless somehow this is brought to the attention of law enforcement, how are they going to monitor this stuff? How are they going to monitor every message sent across? We tend to focus in on, there's Twitter accounts that are sharing in child rape. There's Facebook accounts, but there are phone apps that are like out the wazoo.
Right.
How is law enforcement supposed to monitor this stuff? And this is this is where
we're in a society that has no personal responsibility. It's nobody's fault. It's somebody else.
Oh yeah.
that's our socially engineered excuse for a society, because we're not a society. We're just not. I don't care what you say. I don't care, what church you go to or what civic organizations you belong to. As long as child trafficking and child rape is going on in this country at the level that it is, we are not a society. We're just a group of people that are savages is the way I look at it, sorry.
Well, when the statistics are as bad as they are, then I don't really know what can be said about us. Civilized, I don't think, is part of it.
Yeah.
And just hiding our head in the sand and not collecting those statistics doesn't make them go away, and doesn't make us any less guilty or any less weak because we've allowed it to go on. That was something that I tweeted Dianne Feinstein today, because she had some comment about Trump, and so I had to tell her what I thought. But anyway, I mentioned the 3 laws that California just passed that set child sexual abuse back by about 30 years.
Wow.
So,
wow. And that's San Francisco, that the tech industry is up to their neck in this. Check out that little game. But in San Francisco, from the Presidio, it's a den of just another sewer. But is it any different than Utah? Probably not. But and it was just kind of ironic to me that we were talking about. Craig Sawyer was involved, and good for him. He was involved with local law enforcement, and they busted 6 or 7, guys that were soliciting minors online, But my question would be, for an organization like that and these task forces, why aren't they taking down the FLDS, the remnants of Warren Jeff's church, and the LDS church itself, which is another haven for pedophiles? That's news to me. The question they were asking is, well, isn't this a national news story? Well, I don't know that it is. We've got pedophiles being arrested a dime a dozen in local communities. A national news story to me is when they take down Scientology or the Mormon Church, or find out why Warren Jeffs is running a criminal enterprise from prison.
Right.
For fuck's sake. Sorry, I had to curse. But let me get the judge in here. I don't want we're just about out of time. But yeah, Campbell County, Kentucky, judge has been there his whole life. 21 counts of trafficking women, young girls in the sex trade industry. And listen to this bullshit, okay? This is Grubbs concluded. This is talking about his sentencing. Mr. Nolan has been a public servant to the people of Campbell, Kentucky for a majority of his life. We'll get him next time. They want to give him credit for being a judge. Thanks, guys.
The article is right on PedoGateNews.
And no, he doesn't get credit. Good night.
I'll give him credit. See you guys Tuesday.